the circumstances, you've been asked up by the owners of this place to mind the place for a week.
Yeah. Elderly couple. He was a vet. He was a retired vet.
They'd lived in the place for quite a while.
Yeah, they actually built that house. It was through a widow of another vet. I'd looked after her house for a few days, and she recommended me to these people, and they asked if I would come over and look after their house while they were away.
And you said they talked to you about the creatures. Did they do that at the first time you met them?
Yes. Well, he just came straight out with they have visitors coming through the yard, and he calls them gorilla people. And that's pretty much, like, I wasn't shocked or anything or frightened or when he said that. I just sort of took it as he said it, you know.
Did he say anything else about them?
Just to keep doors locked and make sure that you don't, that they don't get in, because if keep the garage door closed so they don't come in, and because they would snoop around and whatever else, and yeah, just be careful. Yeah, well, I actually didn't expect to see anything at the time, but I thought, oh well, if they come, they come. Well, fair enough. But I was really surprised when I did actually see them.
You saw them on 2 occasions?
3 actually.
Okay, what was the first occasion? And this was the week that you were minding the house?
Yeah, the first time I had nothing to do, so I thought I'll go out and I'll, give the goat. They had a goat tethered in the bush, just sort of wandering around and talking to the goat and feeding the goat some bread and whatever else. And this young person came down through the bushes. Well, I heard voices. I heard like either a whistle or a singing or something,
Cool.
Turned around and here was this creature all covered in white fur. It actually didn't notice me, and I'd noticed him first, or him or her, whatever it is. I'd noticed it first, and then it looked up and spotted me, and it sort of went and turned around and ran off again.
And how close were you to this thing?
Probably about 10 feet.
Was it pretty thick wood that it was walking through, or open scrub, or what?
It was quite thick. There was an area of very thin trees, but they were all very close together, and it came down through there, and then it went back up again.
How tall was this thing?
Oh, about 5 feet. 5 foot, maybe a bit more.
And I guess describe it for me. You said it was covered in white hair. Was it?
Yeah, it was white hair. I sort of thought it was equivalent to a teenager.
In build?
In build and height, and probably in age as well. It was fairly long, shaggy type hair, yeah.
So it wasn't smooth like a dog, it was shaggy?
No, it was quite shaggy, yeah.
Was it clean white? I mean, pure white?
It was clean as, so it wasn't pristine white, but it was white. Pretty much like if you had a white, long-haired dog that needed a good bath.
Was it a muscly thing or a?
No, it wasn't muscly. It wasn't real thin either. It was. How can I?
Like a normal human build, I guess.
Normal, yeah.
You saw arms and legs and so forth?
Yeah.
Did it actually step out of the wood, or was it just at the edge of the bush?
No, it actually came out. It was pretty much halfway down the hill when it realised that I was standing there.
So it had come out of the tree line?
Yes. I think it was headed down towards the fruit tree to get something to eat.
And then it made an eek sound and...
Well, yeah, it was like a shock,
You saw the face of this thing?
Yeah. Well, it was all, like I say, covered in hair. I didn't really notice. I only noticed the eyes, and to me they seemed like they were going vertical instead of horizontal. I didn't notice any ears.
Did it have a long neck or a short neck?
No, just a short neck.
You said it ran off?
Yeah, just did a U-turn and took off up into the trees again.
Was it quite quick?
Yeah, quite quick, undercover, yeah. I actually watched it go up through the trees, and in no time it had disappeared, but I didn't follow it or anything, so because I wouldn't have been able to fit through the through all those trees.
Tell me the second encounter that you had.
The second one was when I was driving home. I was driving back from, I'd been to visit Mum, and I was driving across the cul-de-sac and heading towards the driveway, and I noticed I'd sort of slowed quite, well, I wasn't going fast anyway, but I'd slowed down. It was standing picking fruit off the tree and eating it at the same time. I was just about to hit the driveway and I saw the youth, the white-haired one, picking fruit and eating it straight away. Then he saw me coming and jumped down. There was like a gutter between the fence and where the garden is now, like a concrete gutter sort of thing, and it jumped down in there. It was still there. I'd driven up the driveway and parked the car and then walked back down, and it was still there. When I looked at it, it was, I could see its feet and the calves of its legs and, well, the whole back, because it was laying face down.
In the ditch?
In the ditch.
And what, not moving?
No, it was very still, and it actually tucked its feet right under, so I couldn't see the bottom of its feet. I thought, well, should I reach down and touch it or whatever, but I didn't. And then it must have thought, because I was very quiet, it must have thought that I wasn't there anymore, and of course it jumped up and ran away.
Where did it run?
Back up the hill into the bushes.
Right past you, or?
Yes.
I mean, how close did you get to it when it was in the ditch?
Oh, well, I could have reached down and patted it.
How deep was the ditch?
It was only about 18 inches or something like that. So it wasn't a real deep ditch.
So you got quite close to it at that stage. Was it the same animal? It was a white-haired animal?
Yeah, it was the white-haired one. Yeah. It was just laying flat. Yeah, it was just laying flat and laying very still, pretending that I suppose like animals would do if they're hiding from a predator. Lay very still, and then when they have the chance, run off very quickly. The third sighting was in the morning, working at the kitchen, in the kitchen sink, and I looked up and I could see these two black creatures come through the fence, and they were having a look to see if they could see anybody, because I think they might have wanted to come through through the yard.
And how far away were they from the back, from where you were looking?
From where I was, 50 feet or something like that. One was very short, and all I could see was just shoulders and a head. And the other one was a lot taller than that one, and I could see pretty much from, I think, just about the waist upwards, just above the waist up. Well, I'd say the short one was, could have been 5 feet or a bit under, and the other one was probably average height of a man. I couldn't tell you how tall, maybe 5'6" or 7 or 8, whatever, I don't know.
And they were both covered with hair?
Yeah, they were all covered in hair, with black hair.
They both looked the same colour?
Yeah, they both looked the same colour, yeah.
So you saw them face on?
Well, yes, I saw the face of the short one, and it was like, it had big eyes. The eyes opened their eyes quite wide, and the mouth looked more like, I described last time, a chimpanzee.
Like a muzzle kind of thing? Yeah,
it was more quite a large top lip and more around.
Like a muzzle, yeah, coming out.
Yeah.
So it looked a bit like an ape? Pretty
much, yeah. You could say it looked quite a bit like an ape, yeah.
And the large one looked like the smaller one?
Yeah, only taller. The short one, I think, was more a wider, possibly larger, like thicker set. The tall one was like a well-muscled man, well-built man. It just came through the fence and...
How did they come through the fence? They go over it or around
no,
it?
there was a gap in the fence. I think they'd taken some of the palings off or something and they made a gap. There was a gap in the fence that they could squeeze through. And they came through there and they only stayed near the table. They saw me in the kitchen and decided that they weren't going to go any further and went back. And that was the last I saw of them.
And how long were they in view for? I mean, how long, a minute or 2 minutes?
Probably 2-3 minutes, something like that. They didn't stay very long.
And how did they walk?
No, just upright. And, the short one sort of waddled like an overweight woman, if you can imagine that. The tall one just walked normal.
Now, when you say a woman, did you think the second one was a female?
I just imagined that it possibly was the female of the two. Like the white one, I didn't see any male organs or anything, so I assumed that was a female too.
The first one you said didn't have a neck. Were the other ones similar, or...?
The short one didn't have very much of a neck, but the tall one had like an average human neck. It's not something that I talk about freely.
It's something that made quite an impression on you.
Yeah.